Have you ever felt that pang of modern frustration? The brand new appliance that breaks a week after the warranty expires? The smartphone that mysteriously slows down just before the new model is released? It's the silent, irritating principle of our age: planned obsolescence. A world where almost everything we buy is designed with an expiration date. But what if I told you there was a time when a different philosophy reigned? A time when engineers weren't just employees, they were fanatics on a mission, waging a silent war against the very concept of failure. The proof? In a dusty corner of Greece, a taxi driver named Grigorios Sachanidis drove his 1,976 Mercedes-Benz 4.5 million kilometers. That's not a typo. That's a trip to the moon and back nearly 6 times. With the same engine. Today, we're not just counting down a list. We're taking a journey through time to unlock the secrets of these automotive immortals. Let's explore the 10 most absurdly over-engineered vehicles ever created, machines built with such fanatical pride that they treat rust, mileage, and the passage of time as a personal insult. So, brace yourself, because what you're about to see isn't just about old cars. It's a story about what we've lost, and a reminder of what happens when we dare to build things to last forever. Car number 10. The Buick LeSabre, 1992 to 1999, America's quiet champion of endurance. While other American brands in the 1,990 seconds were distracted by flashy designs and fleeting performance fads, Buick was quietly playing a different, much longer game. They were building the LeSabre, the automotive equivalent of a steadfast, reliable grandparent. Not concerned with trends, but built with a profound, time-tested wisdom. The heart, soul, and immortal spirit of this car was the legendary 3800 Series 2 V6 engine. This wasn't some high-tech overhead cam marvel from Europe or Japan. It was an old-school pushrod V6, a design that GM had been perfecting for over 30 years. It was simple, unstressed, and made of cast iron. It was, in a word, unkillable. This engine was a masterpiece of understated brilliance, so smooth and indestructible that its engineers probably felt guilty for how easy their job was. It's no surprise, then, that the LeSabre became the trusted steed for taxi drivers, traveling salesmen, and anyone whose livelihood depended on their vehicle, starting, without fail, every single morning. The ride quality was famously plush, isolating passengers from road imperfections so effectively it was nicknamed the rolling couch. But this comfort wasn't a sign of weakness. Underneath was a robust chassis and a simple, durable 4-speed automatic transmission that was a perfect match for the engine's lazy torque. A LeSabre hitting 400,000 miles wasn't an anomaly, it was an expectation. It was so fundamentally dependable that mechanics joked they were the only ones who didn't love the car, simply because they so rarely got the chance to work on one. It was a rolling testament to a time when American engineering prioritized substance over style. Car number 9. The Honda Accord, 3rd Gen, 1986 to 1989. The sword of Japanese perfectionism. To truly appreciate the 3rd generation Honda Accord, you must understand the context of the era it was born into. This was a time when many American cars were still suffering from the malaise era, characterized by poor build quality and unreliable electronics. Honda saw this not as a market condition, but as an opportunity to demonstrate a different philosophy. Under the guidance of its founder, Soichiro Honda, the company operated with a creed that was both simple and profound. Build it right the first time, because a warranty claim was a personal mark of dishonor. The result of this fanatical obsession was a mid-size sedan that could seemingly survive anything short of a direct asteroid impact. The engines were masterclasses in elegant simplicity and efficiency. The fuel injection system was so logical and well-designed that backyard mechanics could master it over a weekend. There were no convoluted computer systems or an army of sensors waiting to fail, just pure, unadulterated mechanical excellence. But Honda didn't stop there. They equipped this humble family car with a double wishbone suspension system on all 4 corners, a sophisticated setup previously reserved for exotic sports cars and Formula One racers. This gave the Accord a nimble, responsive feel that shattered the stereotype that reliable cars had to be boring to drive. The attention to detail was staggering, from door hinges engineered for 100 years of use, to weather stripping designed to outlast the car itself, to the satisfying click of the switchgear. In developing nations where cars are driven until they physically disintegrate, These Accords are still on the road, revered as forever cars, a rolling tribute to an era when failure was simply not an option. Car number 8. The Saab 900 78 to 1993, the supersonic jet for the highway. To understand the Saab 900, you must first understand that it was built by a company that, for most of its life, built supersonic fighter jets. This wasn't a marketing gimmick, it was the core of their identity. When Saab's aerospace engineers turned their attention to a passenger car, they didn't just build a competitor to other sedans, they built a ground-based aircraft. This philosophy was evident everywhere. The cockpit-like dashboard wrapped around the driver, with every control placed with ergonomic precision, just as it would be in a jet. The windshield was steeply raked and panoramic, offering a commanding view of the road. But the real magic was under the skin. The body was constructed with heavy-gauge Swedish steel, forming a safety cage so robust that the car routinely aced crash tests decades before they were federally mandated. The doors had reinforced steel beams for side impacts when other manufacturers were still using simple sheet metal. And then there were the engines. The turbocharged variants, in particular, were masterpieces of durability. Built with forged internals and designed to handle immense boost pressures, they were so robust that mechanics would joke you'd need a crane to properly stress test them on a dyno. These power plants routinely soared past 300,000 miles, treating conventional maintenance schedules as little more than polite suggestions. That quirky ignition switch, located between the front seats, wasn't just a design statement. It was a piece of logical safety engineering. It forced the driver to put the car in reverse before removing the key, preventing it from rolling away, and it kept the key from injuring the driver's knee in a crash. In its native Scandinavia, where winter is a 9-month-long battle against the elements, starting a Saab 900 inches, -40-degree weather wasn't a miracle. It was just another Tuesday. Car number 7. The Jeep Cherokee XJ, 1984 to 2001, the unibody fortress. When the engineers at AMC, before being acquired by Chrysler, penned the design for the Cherokee XJ, they threw the traditional SUV rulebook out the window. What they created wasn't just another rugged vehicle, it was a motorized middle finger to the very idea of planned obsolescence. The XJ wasn't just tough, it was survive the apocalypse and then drive through the rubble tough. Its most revolutionary feature was its unibody construction. Instead of placing a heavy body on top of a separate steel frame like a pickup truck, the XJ's body and frame were integrated into a single, welded structure. This was a concept borrowed from passenger cars, but applied to an off-road vehicle. The result was a machine that was significantly lighter, stronger, and more rigid than its body-on-frame rivals. It was like building a fortress out of origami, a concept that shouldn't have worked for a rugged 4x4, but became absolutely legendary. And then there was the engine. Under the hood of the most desirable models lay the immortal 4.0-liter inline-six engine. This wasn't a high-revving, complex power plant. It was a low-revving, torque-rich beast that was essentially a tractor engine in disguise. Its design was ancient, but it was perfected to a point of near invincibility. These motors routinely hit 300,000 miles while being maintained with little more than wishful thinking. The XJ's enduring beauty was its rugged simplicity. A simple, lever-operated transfer case, solid axles, and enough ground clearance to drive directly over your problems. It's no wonder the U.S. Postal Service chose them by the thousands for their most grueling rural routes. They needed a tool that simply refused to die. Today, the XJ has a massive cult following, with a thriving aftermarket supporting vehicles that are now decades old. Car number 6. The Volvo 24019, 74 to 1993. The Unkillable Swedish Brick. Legend has it that in 1974, a group of Volvo engineers in Gothenburg, Sweden, declared, "Let's build a car that is safer than a bomb shelter and more reliable than the force of gravity." The result of this ethos was the Volvo 240. This car wasn't just built to last. It was engineered to outlive its owner, their children, and quite possibly their grandchildren. Its design philosophy was radical in its elegant simplicity. Make every single component 3 times stronger than absolutely necessary, and then add more high-strength steel just in case. The result was a car affectionately known as the Brick, which possessed the structural integrity of a bank vault. Volvo pioneered the concepts of crumple zones and rigid passenger safety cages, and the 240's boxy shape wasn't a matter of style, it was the purest expression of safety-first engineering. Under the hood, its B-Series red block engines were so famously overbuilt that they could reportedly survive being run without oil for extended periods. Hitting 400,000 or 500,000 miles was commonplace. In fact, these engines shared their DNA with the one that powered Irv Gordon's famous Volvo P1800 to an incredible 3.2 million miles. The 240 became the ultimate anti-status symbol, the chosen vehicle for university professors, architects, and freethinkers, people who were making a conscious statement against flashy consumerism. They wanted something that represented intelligence, safety, and the unwavering certainty that their car would start every single morning until the sun itself burned out. Car number 5. The Chevrolet Suburban, 1973 to 1991, the original American institution. Long before the word SUV became synonymous with glorified family minivans, there was the Chevrolet Suburban. And the generation built from 1973 to 1991, known affectionately as the square body, was constructed as if Chevrolet expected it to be the primary mode of transport in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. This wasn't just a vehicle, it was a four-wheeled survival bunker that just happened to have seats for 9. This machine was, in essence, a heavy-duty pickup truck that just kept going. It was built on an incredibly overbuilt, full-length truck frame that could probably support a small house. Power came from lazy, torque-rich V8 seconds, like the legendary small block 350 or the monstrous big block 454. These engines were never about high horsepower. They were about effortless, ground-ripping torque. They were designed to pull a massive boat up a steep mountain pass without breaking a sweat. Year after year, decade after decade, everything about the Suburban was mechanical and straightforward. The four-wheel drive system was engaged with a satisfying pull of a heavy steel lever on the floor. The electrical system was so simple, you could troubleshoot it with a basic test light and common sense. This is why they were the undisputed kings of heavy-duty work. Construction companies, oil fields, ranches, and even government agencies like the Secret Service bought them by the thousands. They needed a vehicle that could carry a whole crew and their gear through conditions that would make a mountain goat nervous. Finding one of these still working on a ranch today with 500,000 miles on the odometer isn't a surprise. It's a testament to its sledgehammer-like simplicity and brute strength. Car number 4. The Mercedes-Benz 126 seconds, class 1979 to 1991, the cost no object masterpiece. Now, we arrive at the summit of luxury engineering. If the common car is built to a budget, the Mercedes-Benz 126 seconds class was built to a standard, with a budget that seemed to have no limit. For this flagship sedan, the phrase cost-cutting was not just discouraged, it was seemingly forbidden. This was an engineering manifesto on wheels, a glorious declaration of war against the very concept of mechanical failure. The research and development budget for this car reportedly exceeded $1 billion in today's money. The result was a level of quality that bordered on the pathological. The paint wasn't just sprayed on, it was applied in multiple hand-sanded layers, like a Renaissance masterpiece, to ensure a finish that could last for half a century. The climate control system was a labyrinth of vacuum lines and redundant backups, designed by engineers who believed that maintaining the perfect cabin temperature was a fundamental human right. This was one of the first production cars to offer airbags, traction control, and seatbelt pretensioner safety features we take for granted today. The engines, both the inline-6 and V8 variants, were assembled in special clean rooms to tolerances so precise they were practically airtight, designed to cruise silently on the Autobahn at 130 miles per hour all day, every day, for decades. Mercedes almost certainly lost money on every single W126 they built. They weren't chasing profits, they were chasing perfection. They were building what many still consider to be the single greatest car in the world, a fortress of luxury, combined with a level of refinement and technological ambition that has rarely been matched since. It is the ultimate testament to an era when a car company dared to build not to a price, but to an immortal standard. Car number 3. The Toyota pickup divided by Hilux, 1979 to 1995. The weapon of mass reliability. In the 1,980 seconds, Toyota looked at the fragile state of American pickup trucks and essentially said, "Hold our sake." The vehicle they unleashed upon the world was not just a truck. It was a force of nature. It redefined the very meaning of the phrase "built to last." This is the very truck that the BBC's automotive show Top Gear famously tried and failed to kill. In a series of escalating tortures, they drowned it in the ocean for hours, set it on fire until the interior melted, dropped it from a crane, smashed it with a wrecking ball, and finally, placed it on top of a 240-foot tower block that was then demolished with explosives. After digging it out of the rubble, bent and battered, they turned the key, and the damn thing started. This wasn't a fluke. It was the result of Toyota's relentless philosophy of Kaizen, or continuous improvement, taken to a fanatical, almost psychotic degree. Every potential weak point was identified and mercilessly engineered out of existence. The 22RE four-cylinder engine is a masterclass in this philosophy, a simple, tough-as-nails engine with a gear-driven timing chain that simply refuses to die. It's for this reason that the Hilux has become the unofficial vehicle of choice for explorers, aid workers, and insurgents in the most hostile and remote corners of the globe. In places where the nearest mechanic is 1,000 miles away and the only repair tools are a hammer and hope, the Toyota Hilux isn't just a truck. It's the closest thing to mechanical certainty that exists. Car number 2, the Cummins-powered Dodge Ram, 1989 to 1993. The million-mile heartbeat. In 1989, Dodge, then the underdog of the Detroit Big Three, did something that was less an act of engineering and more an act of sheer, unadulterated genius. They formed a partnership with Cummins, a company renowned for building monstrous diesel engines for semi-trucks, generators, and farm equipment machines designed to run 24/7 under extreme load. They took the legendary 5.9 liters 12-valve inline-six turbo diesel engine and dropped it into a consumer pickup truck. The first-generation Ram built around this engine was, admittedly, crude. The interior was a sea of cheap plastic, and the ride quality could charitably be described as agricultural. But absolutely none of that mattered. The Cummins engine was a masterpiece of mechanical simplicity and durability. It was engineered to have a service life of 1,000,000 miles in heavy commercial applications. In a relatively lightweight pickup truck, it was barely breaking a sweat at 300,000 miles. Its beauty was its lack of complexity. The Bosch P7100 injection pump was a purely mechanical device, a marvel of timing and pressure that could run on anything from diesel to filtered vegetable oil. There were no computers, no complex emissions equipment to fail, just 6 giant pistons, a block of cast iron, and gear-driven timing that would never stretch or break like a belt. These engines became so legendary that people would buy completely rusted-out trucks just to salvage the motor, transplanting its immortal heart into a newer vehicle. The 12-valve Cummins became more than a name. It became the ultimate symbol of unkillable blue-collar power. Car number 1, the Mercedes-Benz W123, 1976 to 1985, the taxi that conquered the world. And now, we arrive at the absolute pinnacle of endurance. In the late 1,970 seconds, Mercedes-Benz committed a glorious act of commercial heresy. They engineered a car to such an insanely high standard that their own accounting department is likely still recovering from the collective trauma. The W123 series wasn't just built to last a lifetime. It was constructed as if Mercedes fully expected it to be the last functioning vehicle after civilization itself had crumbled into dust. The level of detail was pathological. Engineers reportedly used double the required thickness of steel in critical areas of the chassis. The doors, weighing as much as a modern car's hood, closed with a solid, satisfying thunk that became the auditory signature of Teutonic quality. Every switch, every knob, every material was chosen not for its cost, but for its ability to withstand decades of use. This obsession with durability was most evident in their diesel engines. The OM 617 5-cylinder diesel, in particular, was not fast. It was not quiet. But it was quite possibly the most reliable internal combustion engine ever placed in a passenger car. It produced so little power relative to its robust construction that it was fundamentally understressed. This is why the W123 became the undisputed taxi king of the world. From the streets of Berlin to the harsh deserts of Africa, these mechanical immortals still serve as daily transportation in the toughest conditions imaginable, proudly displaying odometers with 600,000, 700,000, or even 1,000,000 miles on their original, untouched engines. The beautiful irony? Mercedes famously lost money on every single W123 they sold. They weren't building a product, They were building a global reputation for immortality, one indestructible taxi at a time. And there you have it, 10 mechanical titans that prove they truly don't make them like they used to. From Swedish bricks to German bank vaults on wheels, these cars were built with a pride, a purpose, and a fanatical commitment to quality that is nothing short of inspiring. But now, I want to hear from you. This channel is a community, and your stories are what bring these legends to life. Have you ever owned one of these immortal machines? Do you have a story about a Cherokee that refused to quit, or a Volvo that's been in your family for generations? Drop your experience in the comments below. Let's build a Hall of Fame for these unkillable cars right here. If you enjoyed this deep dive into automotive history, please do us a huge favor and give this video a powerful thumbs up, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on so you don't miss our next investigation. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.